Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from paulthepoke.com. Today's topic, resurrection, and looking at a couple of words in the original Greek for the word resurrection. The first scripture reference is 1 Corinthians 15 verse 4, and that he was buried and that he was raised on the third day according to the scriptures. And the word for raised is the Greek word agero. It means to arouse from sleep, to awake, to arouse from the sleep of death, to recall the dead to life. So literally, Jesus was raised out of, as a source, from among the dead. So it's like a whole bunch of dead people. Jesus was raised out of them. The second one is 1 Corinthians 15, verse 13. So the same chapter, 9 verses later. But if there is no resurrection of the dead, not even Christ has been raised. And resurrection is the word anastasis. And also you had the word raised, which would be agero in the same verse. But anastasis, raising up, rising, as like from a seat, rising from the dead, that of all men at the end of the age. And you know, effectively, the resurrection of Jesus is the power of God. And resurrection validates and authenticates his death on the cross for the payment of sin. And it proved Jesus was deity. He had power over death. And without his resurrection, there's no hope for our bodies. And he's the first resurrection. He's the promise of everyone's future resurrection. We are all eternal one way or another. We are all resurrected one way or another, some to heaven, some to hell, but everybody's going to get resurrected. And you know, the result of sin is bodily, physical death, and that's promised from Genesis. And you know, as a believer, body and soul separated, soul and spirit separated from the body at the point of physical death. And the promise of the resurrection is the reconnection of body, soul, and spirit in an eternal glorified body. And you know, for a lot of details on those issues, check out 1 Corinthians 15. Hebrews 7 verse 25, therefore he is able also to save forever those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. And because of Jesus' resurrection and ascension into heaven at the right hand of the Father, he's alive right now in bodily form. And he represents believers on their behalf to the Father. He is the one who intercedes to the Father on behalf of the people. He's the high priest for the people. Lastly is Acts 17:31. Because he has fixed a day in which he will judge the world in righteousness through a man whom he has appointed, having furnished proof to all men by raising him from the dead. So two persons of the Godhead are being discussed in this verse. Because he, the first he, is he the Father, in which he will judge the world in righteousness through a man, and the word man is capitalized, which would represent Jesus. Whom he has appointed, who the Father has appointed, having furnished proof to all men by raising him, Jesus, from the dead. So God the Father will judge the world through his Son Jesus, based on the fact of the resurrection. If you're interested in further topics, resurrection, check out paulthepoke.com, keyword resurrection. Thanks for listening. Bye.